Foundations in Grace by Kenneth Hodges, a 2024 release by Grace Theology Press, is the exact type of book that we need thousands of variations of produced by the free grace community. I don't believe we need more books uncovering the flaws in Calvinism or exposing how lordship salvation robs people of their peace in the spirit. We need more positive, biblically based presentations as to why establishing your Christian life upon grace doesn't lead to a dive bomb into sin or an apathetic Christian walk. Instead, salvation freely given without works required up front or without works being backloaded into the gospel, that grace creates a vibrant, secure, and strong walk with Jesus Christ. Instead of leading us into a quicksand of doubt and shame, free grace gives us a foundation to stand upon to glorify the Lord who saved us. Now, Hodges' book is really good. It doesn't quite hit the quality of Charlie Bing's book, Simply by Grace, but this is still a very good addition to the community. Foundations in Grace is an excellent work for a new believer to learn how to grow in Christ based upon the gospel of grace. It's also great for someone who doesn't know what free grace is in order to see an honest presentation of the movement. And it is an enjoyable read for someone well-versed in the gospel of grace to meditate on the goodness of what Jesus has given to us. If you have a few minutes, I would like to tell you just a little bit more about Foundations in Grace, a study on Titus 2, verses 11 through 14. Welcome to Rev Reads. If you want to discover more books that will help you to grow in your knowledge of the gospel and the Christian walk, please subscribe to the channel in order to stay up to date with my latest reviews. Also, share this video with others so that they can know about Foundations in Grace. And I want to say a thank you to the Buy Me a Coffee members. Your support allows me to cover the costs of keeping up with Rev Reads in order to put out these new reviews. And if you have benefited from the channel in the past, I would love for you to consider supporting Rev Reads at a beginning membership price of only $3 a month. As the subtitle makes clear, Foundations in Grace presents the foundational principles of the gospel of Jesus Christ using Titus chapter 2, verses 11 through 14 as the outline. So the introduction and then chapters 1 through 16 of this book just take the reader through Titus 2, 11 through 14, phrase by phrase. I would encourage you in your reading of this book to read a chapter of it a day. None of the chapters are all that long, but at the beginning of each day's reading, read through the table of contents. And that way you read Titus 2, 11 through 14 each day. It's a wonderful way to try to memorize that passage, to encourage you on a daily basis to be a people who not only believe in Jesus Christ, but are zealous for good deeds. The book begins by giving a clear description of the gospel and the important terminology of redemption, propitiation, reconciliation, justification, imputation, and regeneration. Chapter 5 of the book is a well-crafted and concise argument for universal atonement. This is the view that Jesus died for everyone. Although Hodge writes in this chapter on why we shouldn't even call the death of Jesus an atonement, and part of the way he makes that argument is pointing out that the word atonement is never actually used in the New Testament. Chapter 6 and following shows how this wonderful package of grace, or the gospel, really is a package deal, because it brings us so many different graces, and how this package of goodness that God gives to us, it does not make us like lethargic children who ate too many sweets from their Easter basket on Easter morning. Instead, the grace of the gospel instructs us to deny a sinful lifestyle and to walk in godliness. One of the key reasons that the gospel of grace draws us into good works instead of a life of sloth is that we in the church are hopefully awaiting the appearance of Jesus Christ. And Hodges here shows how the rapture and the judgment seat of Christ both serve as strong motivators to call us to faithfulness. And just being honest myself, especially getting this from reading this book on going through this topic again, I don't know how the imminency of the rapture, combined with the following judgment seat of Christ, doesn't inspire Christians for godly living. I don't know about you, but I want to hear Jesus say, "Well done." I want to have rewards to take and cast at his feet. I want to be counted among the faithful. And since I don't know when my time in this world will be up, Jesus could take me in the rapture tomorrow. I could die in a car accident today. I need to make the most of today. And Kenny does a great job showing the importance of that. I especially like the chapter on the motivations of the heart. When you know that Jesus will not only judge what others can see, but even more so, Jesus is going to judge what goes on inside here. And knowing that really keeps your pride in check. It gives you a drive to be lowly and devoted in Christ, not just serving for the benefit of what others can see, but serving for what Jesus alone can see. But he will make known at the judgment seat. So Hodges, after that, then covers the relationship of grace to law, which a lot of Christians throughout church history has had a terrible, miserable understanding of. We need to know that we aren't under the law. We have liberty. We have the freedom to walk in a grace that demands more from us in love that we give to others than any law could come for. And in order to walk in that kind of grace and love, the Lord disciplines his children. Chapter 15 is a good treatment on eternal security, and then chapter 16 covers the relationship of works in our salvation. Now, if I'm being honest, the one criticism I would make of this book is that chapter 16 is the one chapter that I could have done without personally. Not that it wasn't good, it was a fine chapter, but it covers James 2. And I have read so many treatments on James 2 since becoming part of the free grace movement several years ago. I just read this like I don't need another treatment on James 2. I understand why Hodges brought it in here because this is a foundational book. But I think another place where Hodges just went a little off on that chapter is he made the mistake that I think the majority of people do. And that is, if you're going to teach on James 2, you must emphasize the first half of that chapter. The first half of James 2 is needed in order to understand the second half. The conclusion chapter of the book covers the two-circle illustration that really takes a lot of the material in this book and then summarizes it into a very basic, simple illustration. The illustration was created by Knapp Clark, and Kenny Hodges today runs the two-circle ministry to help share how the gospel relates to the Christian life. And the illustration is very simple. And that is, all those who believe in Christ are brought into the family of God by the work of the Spirit. Once you're in that circle, there's nothing you can do to get out of it. A permanent change has been made in your soul, and you are now forever a child of the King. But there's a smaller circle inside the larger circle, and that represents our fellowship with God. No one is guaranteed to remain in the smaller circle. In order to do that, you must abide in Jesus Christ. Foundations in Grace is a great starter book for those who are new to the gospel or new to the free grace movement. It's also an enjoyable read for those who are familiar with grace. So I would encourage you to go out and pick up a copy of Foundations in Grace by Kenny Hodges, and then buy an extra one to give to someone else who needs to learn how to found their lives on the grace of Jesus Christ.